In this devotional, I'm going to share with you 3 thoughts from Job chapter 40, verses 10 through 14, where I'll ask the question, what is God's challenge to Job? Job chapter 40, verses 10 through 14 says, "Adorn yourself with majesty and dignity, clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Pour out the overflowings of your anger, and look on everyone who is proud and abase him. Look on everyone who is proud and bring him low, and tread down the wicked where they stand. Hide them all in the dust together. Bind their faces in the world below. Then will I also acknowledge to you that your own right hand can save you." In the book of Job, Job is essentially making his argument against God, saying that all of the suffering that he is experiencing is unjust and that it ought not to have befallen him. Well, he's been making his complaint and making his argument while his friends around him are saying, "Job, you really don't know what you're talking about. You're kind of messing this up." And God, in chapter 38, begins speaking to Job. And when God begins speaking to Job, Job all of a sudden doesn't have anything to say anymore. His mouth is then shut because he hears the voice of the Lord. He recognizes him in the whirlwind, and he just doesn't have anything to say. All of his big talk is now gone. So God begins to challenge him by saying, all of these different things that he easily does, that Job can by no means do, and says, why can't you do this? Do you know these things about creation or not? Well, here are 3 thoughts from Job chapter 40, verses 10 through 14, where I'll answer the question, what is God's challenge to Job? Thought number 1, self-glorification. God tells Job, adorn yourself in majesty and glory and honor and all of these great things, like God has done. He says, Job, if you are so great, if you are so wise, if you are so discerning so as to correct me, then why don't you do some of the things that I have done, like array yourself in majesty and glory, to where everybody can know and nobody can question your greatness. Well, obviously, there's no answer for Job to that challenge. There's nothing he can do before the almighty creator of the universe to bring himself glory. But that's what God says. He says, if you're so great, if what you say is true, then glorify yourself like I have done. But Job can't, because Job is simply a man. I think there's something for us to learn there, that we need to be careful when we challenge God, when we question him. Are we going to be able to answer the call to self-glorification as God has done? Thought number 2, demonstrate power. God tells Job that if he is so great, like he says, like he's making himself out to be with his long complaint about God and his justice, then why doesn't he demonstrate his great power like God has done? Why doesn't he take his enemies and bring them low? Bring them down, crush them before his feet. Why not? Why hasn't he done it? Well, he hasn't done it because he doesn't have sufficient power. But God has done it, and God does have sufficient power, and the story throughout the entire text of Scripture is a demonstration of God's power in creation. So, if Job is as great as God, ought he not be able to demonstrate power in a manner similar to what God has done? Sure. Can Job do it? No. And neither can we. We need to consider that when we are questioning God. Thought number 3, exercise justice. Job is crying out for justice. He's saying, God, all this suffering that I've experienced, this is unjust. I haven't deserved it. I don't merit all of the pain that I've experienced. But God says, if you're so great, if you're so wise, if you're so discerning, if you're so wonderful that you can question me, why don't you exercise the justice that you're calling out for? See, but Job can't. And all of this is to point out something that we need to know. It's all to point out that God is different from us, that God is over and above us, that he has more power, more authority. He is more glorious, and he is more just than we could ever be. So when we stand before him, we will find ourselves doing precisely what Job is doing here, keeping our mouths shut and recognizing finally that God is over and above, not just us, but he's over and above all things, and he does with creation precisely as he will. These three thoughts come from the assigned reading of Job chapters 39 and 40. If you'd like to read through the Bible with me, you can do so by subscribing to this channel, by clicking on the link in the description, or by joining the Facebook group Through the Bible, where we are reading the text of Scripture together.